summit wrapped up, and the host nation said it was a success. I want to get your key takeaway from the opening declaration being given at the beginning of the summit when it's usually issued at the very end.
That's right, Sean. It is usually at the end, but I think they wanted to make a very strong statement that multilateralism is important. Because what it does is it recognizes the fact that there are many countries around the world and that no single country should be able to dominate the agenda. And a lot of the things that were discussed in the meeting are going to promote economic growth from emerging countries and emerging markets. Those are the countries that grow the fastest, which will contribute to global economic growth. So I think it was a good meeting and something to look forward to, even though we know that next year the United States is going to take over and some of the things may have to take a step backwards.
Yeah, I want to pick up on what you're talking about, this global economic growth, how important it is, because if you listen to what they said, debt relief, multilateralism, embracing the global south, working with the continent of Africa as it works on its developing nations to find a way to move forward without contributing more to climate change, and the fact that the United States simply wasn't there. And then what we heard from the White House today, when it's going to get G20 next year, and said, we look forward to giving this legitimacy once again. A statement like that just doesn't go over well globally. It just feeds into that belief that a lot have, that the United States believes it owns the world, it doesn't live in the world.
It was a little bit disappointing, Sean, because you're correct. The United States is part of the global economy, but it doesn't rule the entire global economy, even though it's a large share. And as I said, when you take these emerging economies, and I'm speaking now of the global south, they are the wave of the future. That's where the labor force is growing. That's where the most growth can actually occur. And to see discussions about debt relief, which basically will unleash economic growth in these fast-growing economies that have the potential to grow faster, is a step in the right direction. It's not to say that we don't want the mature countries like Europe and the United States to grow, but if you allow and you unleash the growth potential of many of these countries that can grow faster, if you take some of the constraints off them, like permitting and allowing and creating an atmosphere for the infrastructure in those countries to grow and take away some of the barriers. Like a lot of the debt is restricting their ability to grow. If you give them debt relief that will grow faster, it can only help the global economy grow faster. And all of us will benefit, including the United States, including Europe, including Latin America. So everybody wins when emerging economies grow faster, and they have the potential to grow faster because that's the way it works.
Yeah, Anthony, talk about the fact that the global south and BRICS nations have really headed this up the past 4 years. They're becoming increasingly more important, and there's somewhat 1.4 to 1.5 billion people on the continent of Africa, and you talked about this potential for growth. How important is this going to be moving forward?
It's going to be very important, and specifically Africa, because they have such a young labor force. This is exactly what we need, because a lot of the countries, whether it's the United States, whether it's Europe, whether it's Japan, whether it's China, their populations are getting older. So the labor force of the future is in Africa, and to basically not allow that part of the world to grow at its potential is a real shame. So I was encouraged by what I heard in this meeting, because it really says that we're going to be more inclusive. We're going to allow more countries to have a say in how these things operate, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's only good for the global economy. Let's talk about the second largest economy on earth, China's presence there. Firstly, the number of important side meetings that went on. The headlines are getting all the attention right now, but these side meetings are so important. And also Chinese influence going on there, because if you look at Africa, the way it is developing, it's going to be important to have it grow without going through the industrial problems that the United States and China went through, renewable energy, solar, wind where possible. How important is China's presence and influence at G20?
I think it was crucial that China was there, and certainly not only there, but it was there and offered an encouraging message to many of these countries that they would be supporting their growth and development. And that was very, very encouraging, because to get the second largest economy in the world to send such a strong message that they're there to help. They're there to allow those countries to basically develop and grow at their potential. I think it was very encouraging.
And the future of key global gatherings.
And notice the positive force that China's message was delivered.